Hello, geometry kids. All right, we're gonna be wrapping up our curriculum soon, and one of the last things we're gonna do is look at the equation of a circle. All right. When we look at the equation of the circle, we're gonna have to do something similar to what we did in algebra, where we completed the square of a quadratic to put it in vertex form. So we're gonna spend a couple days reviewing that skill from algebra, because it's going to relate to what we're doing with the circles in geometry. All right? So let's take a look at that. All right? So here's what we're going to do. First off, I'm going to rewrite this equation, and I'm going to put the y on the opposite side, because it's going to make more sense to you. All right? Remember when we are completing the square, all right? We want to bring the constant to the other side. So I want to bring this 11 over. So I'm going to have x squared minus 6x plus, I'm going to leave an empty spot. That's the square number in completing the square. And at 11, when you bring something from one side to the other, you got to change the sign. So it's going to become a minus 11. But I'm going to have to add some number on that side also. All right? All right, remember, completing the square. To complete the square, we take half of this number. So half of 6 is 3, and then we're going to square it. 3 to the second is going to be 9. That's what we're going to add on both sides of the equation. Okay? All right, now 3 is actually a factor, because 3 times 3 gives you 9, and negative 3 plus negative 3 gives you negative 6. That's where we complete the square. We're trying to find factors that will work out. All right, you bring the minus down, you bring the x down. X minus 3 squared basically replaces this. If I were to multiply this out, write it out twice and multiply it, I would get this trinomial. Because x times x is x to the second, negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, negative 3 plus negative 3 adds to give me my middle term. On the right side, I'm going to combine the negative 11 that I swung over and the 9. And the reason why you got to add this 9 on both sides is you got to balance. If you do something to the left, you have to also do it to the right. We're going to combine negative 11 and 9, and that's going to be negative 2. Okay? We're trying to rewrite our equation, but in vertex form. So I still want an equation that's y equals. So now this negative 2, we're going to swing back to the other side. So we're going to have x minus 3 to the second. That negative 2 becomes plus 2. And that's our equation. All right. Now, looking at this, we could figure out our vertex. Okay, our vertex is going to have the opposite sign of the number inside and the same sign as the number outside. So our vertex here is going to be the opposite of negative 3. It's going to be plus 3, and it's going to be 2. 3, 2. All right? That's our vertex. And when we start talking about a circle, this number we come out with, this is going to be the center of our circle. All right? Now, the nice thing about algebra is you could graph this to make sure you have the right vertex. Unfortunately, with a circle, you cannot graph a circle on your graphing calculator. But I'm going to graph this equation, the original one, just to demonstrate that this is my vertex. Okay, I got x to the second minus 6x plus 11. All right, and this is what you could do to check your work, to make sure you got the right vertex. All right, and if you look, our vertex is right here, which is over 3 and up 2. If you go to your table of values, all right, and you go, you'll see that the y values go 11, 6, 3, 2, and then back to 3, back to 6, back to 11. So this middle number, 3, 2, is our vertex. All right, let me do another example or two so you can see it. All right, so again, I'm going to take my equation, x squared plus 10x plus 22, and I'm going to swing that y to the other side. All right. We want to bring the constant to the other side, so I'm going to bring that 22 over. So it's going to look like y minus 22 on the right side. All right, I bring down my x squared, I bring down my 10x. Then I'm going to leave open an open spot. This is for the square number, right? We do half of 10, we square it. That's why we call this completing the square. Take half of the x term and square it. We're going to add that number onto both sides. So 25 on the right and 25 on the left. On the right side, we're factoring. Factors of 25 that add to 10. Well, 5 times 5 is 25. 5 plus 5 is 10. Bring down the x, bring down the plus. All right? On the right side, you combine negative 22 and plus 25. That's going to be plus 3. And then you're going to swing your 3 back over. And when you bring it over, we change the sign. So it's x plus 5 squared minus 3 is equal to y. So this is our equation now in vertex form, right? And the vertex is always going to have the opposite sign of what's in parentheses. So since it's plus 5, our vertex is going to be minus 5. If it's a number on the outside, it stays exactly the same. So our vertex, the opposite, negative 5, negative 3. All right? So if I want to make a sketch of this, my vertex would be left 5 and down 3. All right? My x squared's positive, so it's going to open up, right? It's going to look something like that. All right? And again, you could graph it to confirm that. X to the second plus 10x plus 22. And then you'll see your vertex is left 5, down 3. All right? All right, let me do another example. All right, and then I'm going to have you guys practice. All right, again, I'm just going to rewrite it with the y on the right side. I just think it makes it easier. All right? So I just switched the y from the left to the right. You got to bring the 18 over. We're going to leave an open spot. That's for the square. All right? And the square is by taking half of the x term and squaring it. So half of 8 is 4. Now, some people ask, well, if this is negative, well, this number you add on is negative. Think about if you took negative 4 to the second and you square it. You're going to get a positive because you're multiplying two negatives. So it doesn't matter whether this is negative or positive. When you add the number on, it's going to be a positive. So when I do 4 to the second, I'm going to add on 16. Right? Bring down whatever this sign is, bring it down. Right? Think about it. Negative 4 times negative 4 is plus 16. And if you do negative 4 plus negative 4, that's your negative 8. So this is this trinomial factored out. That's where the x minus 4 squared comes. Combine negative 18 and 16. That's going to be negative 2. And then you're going to swing the negative 2 over. It's going to become plus 2. All right? Or if you wanted to rewrite it, y equals x minus 4 to the second plus 2. All right? And then our vertex is going to be the opposite of the one in the parentheses. So it's going to be positive 4, positive 2. That's our vertex. All right, and if you wanted to graph it, you would confirm. Whether you graph the equation in vertex form or the original, you should get the same picture. X squared minus 8x plus 18. All right, graph it. And if you look, your vertex is over 4 and up 2. All right, if I went back and I graphed the equation in vertex form, x minus 4 to the second plus 2. I'm going to get the same picture. All right, so try the rest of these. All right, I'm going to post the answers. Email me with any questions. All right, talk to you soon.